You know, I'm feeling very passionate about something right now, and I want to talk about when we are encountering a client, a prospect, and taking them down step by step through the process. And I picture this like a subway station that has certain stops. If you've ever taken a subway like in New York City, for example, goes underground, and you go to several stops along the way. And that's how the sales process is, because we want to take control of the situation, take control of the sales process, and move the customer down, because that's in their best interest, and that's also in our best interest. So it really works both ways, to give a thorough analysis of what the customer's needs are, to make sure we get sufficient intelligence so we can make the proper solution. And that's just doing the right thing for the client, listening, so we're not just selling them anything, but we're selling them something that they really, really need, and not selling them something if we've decided that's the best thing for them. Okay, so that's if we picture the sales process as a subway that has specific stops along the way. Stop number one is you need to take immediate control, and we do that. We come across as sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as heck, and an expert in your field. And that's actually from Jordan Belfort, who has excellent sales training material, which I highly recommend that you get a hold of. Read his book, and there's a video program on this, and I really, really recommend that you purchase it, that you see it, read it, and highly, highly recommend it. Very, very good. Probably the best I've ever seen. Stop number two along the subway is combined with stop number three, and that's gather massive intelligence and build rapport. So we can ask the questions in such a way to show that we really care, just like an attorney or just like a physician, because we need the information to give the very best to the client. To give our very best to the client, we need to know what their problem is before we offer a solution. You don't walk into the doctor's office and say, here's your prescription, without them knowing what your problem is. You know, they're going to ask you questions first. A good doctor is going to ask the questions, and they're going to take control of the situation with the questions. And that's why we need to take control right from the very beginning. If Coach Nick Saban is giving a locker room talk, and some player says, "Hey, Coach, do you like duck hunting? I like duck hunting." What do you think he's going to do? He's not going to go off on some tangent about duck hunting. He's going to say, "Okay, we're talking about football here. Get back on the program," and he'll talk about his next issue. And just like a physician, like an expert, like the top neurosurgeon, you come in and you start talking about that you enjoy old cars. He'll maybe show an interest in it, but he's going to get back to questioning you. So somebody says, "Oh, hey, I like old cars." You say, "Yeah, there's some that can really be a great hobby. Yeah, that can. A lot of people are really passionate about that. I sure understand." Oh, by the way, the next thing I need to ask you is, and they get back on track. So they acknowledge it. They're friendly and cordial, but they're not going off to Pluto or down to the planet Uranus in the process. They're guiding you back on the track, right? That's what experts do. If you start talking about, "Oh, I like duck hunting," and you say, "Oh, I like duck hunting too," and you're off talking about the different kind of shotguns and the places you've hunted, you're way off track. They're not going to see you as an expert. I mean, Nick Saban wouldn't do that. He wouldn't just start going off on some tangent about duck hunting or fishing or something like that because one of the players in the room brought it up. No, he's going to get people back on track, and he's going to do it quickly. And in a sales situation, we want to do it in a cordial, friendly fashion, but we want to take charge and get things back on track. The next stop on the subway, after you, first of all, take immediate control, come across as sharp, enthusiastic, and expert, and you gather intelligence, and you've built massive rapport. Number four, you've gathered sufficient intelligence. You have a bond with a person. Now you need to make a transition from intelligence gathering to your presentation. So that's stop number four on the subway as the transition. So, for example, you say, "Based on what you told me, we have a perfect fit for you. And let me tell you why." That's the transition. That's the next stop in the subway. And the stop on the subway after the transition is the actual presentation. And that is best if it is scripted in a way that you come across like you're not reading. The nice thing on the telephone is we can have a script in front of us, and we can use the script to make sure that we're covering all the bullet points, and we say it in a natural fashion in our own voice, using the voice inflections to keep things interesting. So the next step on the subway is the presentation. Now, the next step, number 6 on the subway, is we ask for the order for the first time. So based on everything we said, would you like to go ahead and get this started? You have a credit card handy. I can put on the order form so we can get this taken care of. You're asking a closing question. Now, step number 7 on the subway, stop number 7 on the subway, right? You're keeping somebody on the subway and you're making sure it goes to every stop. If you skip one, you're not getting the sale. If you skip if you skip something along the way, you're not getting to your destination because you stopped, detoured, and so on. So subways, we want to keep them inside the subway tunnel. Now, next, what naturally happens is somebody will either say, yes, I'd like to make the sale, and then, but more often than not, what happens is somebody says, well, I want to think about it. I want to talk to my brother Bob. I want to talk to my cousin Bobo, the attorney, or whatever it is. And so what we do in that case to the very first objection is we deflect it. We don't just bash it head on, we deflect it. And we say, and we deflect it this way. And that's the next stop on the subway is deflection, deflecting the first objection. They say, let me think about it. It's a bad time of year, whatever it is. So you say, without the full sentence here, without pausing, you say, I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? So I hear what you're saying in a genuine tone of voice, but let me ask you a question. Does the, hypothetically speaking, tone of voice, does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? Okay. In that case, they will come out with, what are the things that you need to strengthen? Remember, the 3 things we need to strengthen are they need to love our product, they need to trust and connect with you, they need to trust and connect with the company. So it's one of those 3 things that we need to strengthen. Okay, typically one of those 3 things we need to strengthen, or more than one of those 3 things. We want to get them from a scale of 1 to 10. We want to get them as close to 10 as possible. And Jordan Belfort has a great explanation of that you can read in his book. And so so stop number 8 on the subway is looping. So we loop back and strengthen those 3 10s, or especially whatever they said. Well, I want to do this, but I just saw you guys online, and I don't know you guys from anybody else. I don't know you guys from Adam, so I don't know if I want to do this yet because I'm not quite there yet. And I love the idea, I love the concept, but I don't know you, I don't know your company. So what does that mean? It means you have to go back and say who you are and your credibility and how you're going to help them and how long the company's been around and how high quality it is and how many customers you already have helped and their stories and so on. So you ask the deflection question so that you can find out what it is that you need to strengthen. The next step 9, is to lower the action threshold. And so, for example, you may say, what's keeping you from going ahead? And they say, well, gosh, I just need to know that I can trust you guys. And say, okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our Google rating. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's go ahead and take a look online and see how long we've been around and so on. So you know what you need to strengthen. So you lower the action threshold. Sometimes you might need to offer something of a lower price, for example, to make it easier for them to say yes. And number 10's stop on the subway is to raise their pain threshold. Now, we want to use this in an ethical way, naturally. What this means is to make them realize that it is a painful thing for them not to act. Here are the bad things that could happen if they don't say yes. And here are the good things that can happen if they do say yes. So that's the next thing, is to raise the pain threshold. Mainly, it's making them realize they may be in denial about their problem and the true bad thing that could happen if they don't say yes. So raising the pain threshold in ethical fashion is next. And then number 11, relooping if needed, going back and strengthening one of the 3 10s. And finally, after making the sale, creating customers for life, making them raving fans that want to buy and buy again. So I wanted to talk about the subway concept, that you're controlling the situation. You don't let the conversation spiral off into outer space. You acknowledge what they said, but then get them back on track with questions and keep them inside the tube and make sure that the subway stops at every single station, because that's the best way to turn a prospect into a client. Thanks for watching.